Sunny, lead us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
Ms. Upton?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bray?
Here, just kind of an overview of what we're going to do here this afternoon is we're going to start the regular meeting, and we're going to do as many items as we can, which won't be very many, until 5:05, because by law, we have a budget hearing scheduled. So we will recess the regular meeting, go into the budget hearing, and then come back into the regular meeting. So item 1D, board meeting minutes, not previously approved. Number one, April 1st, 2025, Mr. Lindemann.
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
Ms. Upton?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes, item E, information-only items. One, summary of current events, Ms. Samaniego, and you got about 3 minutes to do it.
Yes. I don't have much. I just hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday. We were closed Thursday, Friday at district office. I am happy to report that as part of my superintendent goals, I have met with the classified council, the certified council, and the parent council. And we've had 3 very productive meetings, lots of good feedback that we will be presenting to the board at a later date. So there's going to be much work ahead of us. And I will be meeting with the Student Advisory Board Council this month. And that's all I have for today.
Okay, if you have time, you think you have enough time, about 2
Yes.
minutes to do the GEM Award, we can do
Yes.
that and get it out of the way.
I don't see the GEM Award recipient, but I will go ahead and mention her name. This month's GEM Award goes to Mrs. Nereida Teran. She is an instructional support staff who oversees the Behavior Management Room, or BMR, at Rayburn Middle School. She's been a dedicated employee, and she's always willing to help, very positive, outgoing attitude. She never gives up on any student and has a heart of gold. She also has a natural ability to understand what the students talk about and make them feel that they matter. She sets an example for all of us, students, staff, and is consistent in our to be consistent in our behavior. And she can make a difference by being a lending ear. She is a hardworking woman and has inspired me, her nominee, to be better all around. That's why I believe she should be awarded the GEM Award. So we will give it to Mrs. Rodna La Madrid, so she can give it to her. We'll give it to you after the meeting.
Okay, so we hurried through that, and we're going to recess the regular meeting, and we're going to go into the public hearing, and roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Selcha?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bray?
Here, item 1, public hearing. Call for public hearing pursuant to ARS 15-905 on the revision of fiscal year 2025-26 district annual budget. At the time of the hearing, the governing board, through its appointed representatives, shall present the budget to persons attending the meeting. Upon request from any person attending the hearing, the budget shall be explained. Any resident or taxpayer may protest the inclusion of any item in the budget. The board may choose to discuss and take action at this time to remove the protested item from the agenda. If any member of the board has a conflict of interest defined in ARS 38-502 to the specific item posted, the member shall not vote on the specific item. So with that, we're going to have a brief explanation of the budget and why we're here for the hearing. Very brief, summarized, because we're going to get in it in detail, much detail later. However, for the purposes of understanding what the hearing's about, Mr. Soto, would you go through that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and board members. The main reason for the budget revision is to adjust to the enrollment. And as we talk previous meetings, enrollment is been an issue. Even though we're not required by the state to do a revision at this point. We decided to do one anyways, again, to keep the community and the board members up to date with what the current situation of the district is and the enrollment. I can tell you that briefly, and the difference between what we adopted the budget to what the revision now in December is a difference of 61.3627 ADM, so students, weighted students. What that represents is a reduction in a budget of $328,219. So we went from $26,733,210 in the maintenance and operation budget when we adopted the budget in July to $26,404,991. That's the revision that we're doing that. On a good note, there was an adjustment to district additional assistance, which is capital. We gained $2,273. Again, it's not big, but hey, we'll take these gains. The ADM, when we adopted the budget, it was 3,380.6833 weighted students to 3,319.3206. This number represents what the state has as up to date in their system. But I also can tell you that according to the reports we have internally, it's probably 8 students less that we have currently, 7 to 8 students. But that's not going to be reflected on until next year when we do another revision that we typically do in March or April. So that overall is
No, that's
the budget.
sufficient. So we will, do you have anything you want to add to that? I mean, as a matter of information only, for the purpose of the public hearing?
No, not right now.
Okay. So we're going to be in the public hearing. We'll see if there's anybody who wants to address the board, ask any specific questions regarding the budget and the revision and the expenditures. So we'll wait and see if we have any participation for that.
She just arrived. After the other one, or do I just give it to her? Yeah, no, I do. I said.
Okay, for the record, there's obviously nobody here wants to address the board. Apparently, everybody in here is either a school employee or affiliated with the school in one way or the other, and they're gonna hear plenty about the budget a little later. So, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion regarding the adjournment? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes. So now we're back in the open regular meeting, and I will go ahead, Ms. Samaniego,
Yes.
do your presentation.
Ms. Teran just walked in, so I want to be able to give her recognition. And Mrs. Teran, you're being recognized as this month's GEM Award. Your nominee said you're always willing to help, always with the positive and outgoing attitude. You never give up on any student, and I am a witness of that. And on any staff, you have a heart of gold. You're an example of how we should be consistent in behavior and how we can make a difference by lending an ear. You're a very hardworking lady, and you have inspired, your staff, your colleagues, and that's why you're being awarded the GEM Award. So if you can please come up. And Ms. Duran was my aide when I first started teaching, so I told her many things like, remind me never to do this activity again. And here is your award, and congratulations, and you get the diamond gem. Thank you, congratulations.
Item 1B, Governing Board Member Reports. Mr. Smith?
Nothing to report.
Ms. Alchow?
Just a big thank you to Ray Brain Middle School National Honor Society for the presentation they gave regarding the folding of our nation's flag. It was really well done, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Lindeman?
Nothing.
Mr. Ramos? And Ms. Alchow, I want to echo your praise for that school and the individuals that participated in that. It's great. Yeah, the good thing about it is it's kind of out of the ordinary regarding patriotism and loyalty and citizenship, and those things are very, very important, especially in these days and times. So thank you very much for that, Rhonda. So we're going to move on to student activity report. Saeed, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. The activity report for DHS for December is as follows. So the DHS Drama Club is putting on Alpha on the Shelf from December the 4th through the 6th. Skills USA will be having a drive-in movie tomorrow. Sports have been doing well. SAT testing will be on this Saturday on the 6th. The Tim Brown Invitational will be going on from the 12th through the 13th. And boys and girls basketball will be having the Benson Holiday Tournament from the 11th through the 13th.
Is that it?
That's it.
Do you have anything you want to add, Lib, or something, anything that you want to, I want to give you your allotted time.
I think all sciences at the high school are having a science fair tomorrow. So
Okay.
that's-
Thank you. Thank you as always. Mr. Soto, you want to give an overview of the budget as much as you need to now, and then, of course, we'll get much more into it later?
Right, well, the first item in the agenda is, the adoption, the approval of the adoption of the revision. So what I'm presenting now is the November report. I just want to let you know that number that you see there, the 26,404,000, is the current with the revised amount. Any questions on that?
Members of the board? Okay, again, we're going to have a thorough discussion later about the
Yes.
budget. Ms. Cox, Human Resources.
Good afternoon. Board members, Mr. President, community. So currently, we have, and we're going to speak about it a little bit more. Our current enrollment is 3,508. That's as of today. The numbers that you see here were from last week. So currently today, our current enrollment is 3,508, which includes preschool. Our ADM is 3,310, which is a little bit lower than what Mr. Soto had, and that's current. Last year at this time, we were at 3,396. So we had 20 withdrawals in November. Six of the students went online. We had 2 that were long-term suspended, 4 that were 10-day drops, six that moved out of Douglas, 1 that's for other reasons, and 1 that went to Loretto. So we had 20 withdrawals, but we had 17 enrollments. And so in HR news, we're still currently looking for 4 certified teachers. Okay. So 2 elementary and 2 middle school.
Members of the board?
Of the 17 students that we had added, did they come back to the district, or are they new moves?
They're new,
They're
new
new.
enrollments, yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Questions regarding the HR report? Student enrollment? Anybody wants to address the board?
No, sir.
Item number 2, consent agenda items. Item A, approval of the following consent agenda items Number one, payroll and expense vouchers A through C. Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the consent agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Salchow. Discussion, questions? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item 3, action items. Ms. Samaniego.
Let me go to 3A. So as for action item A is approval of the revision of the district annual expenditure budget. As we've been talking about, we didn't have to do the revision, but we felt it was appropriate due to just, some loss of enrollment instead of waiting until potentially March to do another revision. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Soto, who's going to highlight what the money difference is for the annual budget. Obviously, the revision is due to the loss of enrollment, and that's the only factor that we're having to revise it for.
Thank you, Ms. Samaniego. Mr. President, board members, as I explained earlier, those were the main highlights of this revision. And to repeat it, the difference on ADM or enrollment since July to this point is 61.36 ADM, and that's weighted. That doesn't mean, of course, physical bodies, but weighted. The loss overall is $328,219 out of all those 61.36, and a little gain in capital of $2,273. Again, those are the main and the only things that we change on the revision, of course, for you to approve. So I don't know if there's specific questions or something that you want to talk about on the revision.
Well, members of the board, this action is only to approve the revision, and it has nothing to do with any of the discussion that'll take place a little bit later.
Correct.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the revision.
I just had one quick
Go ahead,
question,
you have
if
a
I may. I think a while back, we mentioned that the state legislature was going to change the funding formula to current enrollment. Do we know anything more about that?
That has happened. It's
has
been
happened.
a few years. It's been a
Okay.
few years already. That's the reason. If you remember back in the day, the funding was based on the 100-day,
Right.
right? And that was again. Now it's every day.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking. So that's already been in effect?
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I'm behind then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Mr. Smith?
No.
On the revision specifically, Ms. Salchow, Mr. Ramos?
No.
Entertain a motion, Mr.
I
Lynn.
move to approve.
Second,
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item 3B, action, discussion on the approval of certified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
You have just a couple substitute, one emergency and one substitute teacher for approval.
Mr. Lindeman?
Move to approve the certified hires.
Second,
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item C, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
2 ESS instructional aides, and this is all due to the increased number of ESS students with either high needs or more support needed. And we need about 8 more IAs, but I'm only approving 2 at this time.
Were these already encumbered? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Further discussion?
Second,
Mr. Ramos?
I won that one.
Well, she's the referee. She's the one who's supposed to tell me. If I say Mr. Smith, you correct me, right? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item D, discussion action on the approval of increase in hours. Ms. Samaniego.
We have an ESS instructional aid going from 6 to 6.5 hours due to the services that are needed to be provided.
Mr. Ramos.
Move to, oh, sorry.
Mr. Ramos, you make a motion to approve?
I vote to approve the motion on the arrival of increase in hours and approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Lindeman. We're even now, Mr. Ramos.
Oh, okay.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item E, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations. Ms. Samaniego.
The secretary for the security department, Nadine, resigned effective 11/21, due to relocating her and her family. And so that is a recommendation to approve.
Mr. Lindeman.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Smith. Further discussion?
Ms. Alcha?
You're on the roll.
I'm getting even for correcting me the last time. Mr. Ramos.
No, hold up
Ms.
the
Alcha?
sign.
Ms. Alchow? Whoever you select. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item F, discussion action on the approval of a student observer. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, needs to do some education hours and from Hastings College.
Mr. Lindeman.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, and I believe item G, there was an amendment to that, or you made a correction to that?
Yes, we made a
revised
revision
it,
to the
You
agenda.
added a name?
Yes.
Is that
uh-huh.
what it was?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, good. And the background information is there
Yes.
Yes.
as well? All right. Ms. Samaniego.
So these are for Paul Huber Middle School sports, all three of them.
Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve.
second.
Second.
Mr. Smith, any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item H, discussion action on the approval of volunteers. Ms. Samaniego.
You have two volunteers, boys basketball Douglas High School and girls soccer Douglas High School. I reviewed the information, so has Mrs. Trinta and their prospective coaches, so as presented.
I have to say that both of those are very positive additions. Both those people come with very, very good backgrounds, and I'm sure they're going to be able to contribute a lot to those programs. Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve.
second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item I, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified District Number 27. Ms. Samaniego.
We have the 20 tote bags and 20 journals from Lakeshore to DUSD teachers, estimated value of $259.98.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve.
second.
Second.
Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item J, discussion, information on budget considerations for fiscal year 2026, 2027. Ms. Samaniego.
Okay, so on this topic, I felt, in talking to our governing board president and my team, I just felt it was appropriate just to have a conversation with you during our governing board meeting about 26-27 school year. And so I know we're, shy 6 months for the end of the school year, but I think in looking at the projections and the continued loss of student enrollment, we need to start having conversations and planning ahead of time. And so obviously, we've been very open and honest. You've received the numbers every month. The uniqueness to the decline in student enrollment is not only a Douglas issue, it is regional, it is statewide, it is nationwide. And you are seeing the news of many school closures across many districts up in Tucson, in the Valley. Sierra Vista is going through the same problem. So I felt it was appropriate to let you know that I am very aware of our situation, and in discussing with my team, what projections we can make, how can we plan ahead in the event that we need to tighten the bolts a little bit more in several areas. And so the projections, just looking at the typical enrollment, looking at Douglas, the Douglas economy, the decline in birth rate, the price of housing in Douglas, and the fact that many people are leaving Douglas for employment reasons, and some of them do come back. And I liked your question, Mrs. Selchow, about are some of these kids re-enrolling after they leave? And some of them are, not these 17, I think, that re-enrolled. And so the fact that, we are the only public school district in Douglas who has very strict registration guidelines for providing residency and proving residency is definitely something that keeps some of the potential candidates and students that can come in and enroll at our district, because we have to have proof of residency. Unlike, a charter school maybe that may have different guidelines for registration, we have to provide those documents in case we are audited. So, if we were able to take all kids, our enrollment would be, we probably wouldn't be able to keep all of the students in Douglas. So, as you know, most of our funding is based on ADM, so less students equals less money, and we know that. And so we know that this is a trend. So my conversation is around what are our budget challenges, the enrollment decline, and areas of concern, and maybe potential strategies that, can come up from this conversation today. No action is going to be taken. No decisions have been made, but I think we need to get ahead of the ball game and just do some really pre-planning. We did it last year with by attrition. We had to reduce quite a bit number of positions due to not because we were getting rid of people. It's just the enrollment wasn't there, and many of those positions were at the high school. We in CTE, Douglas High School gave up a couple, I think math positions, science positions, and so when you have less students, you have to have less teachers, and so. The areas of the financial impacts, of course, are, when you have less revenue, then you have to make some revenue reductions in different areas. And they need to be sometimes significant. They need to be concise and well planned out. Our fixed cost and our salaries do not decline at the same rate of enrollment. So it's, while enrollment is down, our fixed costs such as transportation, the maintenance of our buildings, and our salaries are really three areas that don't decrease just because enrollment decreases. So we still have 8 schools, we have to transport kids, we have to pay bills. So that doesn't really decrease much compared to the number. So it's not like we're decreasing $364,000 suddenly because we have $364 less. So obviously this creates a budget gap. We have cost, we have revenue coming in, but then we have revenue going out, and those are some considerations. And then, of course, one of the biggest factors in our budget is 85% of our salary is paid out of the M&O and our grants. So that's 85% of our budget is paid towards salaries. So that's number one off the bat. The next biggest impact is is health benefits. And we had that big discussion last year. We just had a meeting yesterday with our consultant for our health insurance, as we need to be proactive. And the utilization rate for DUSD from the people that use our insurance has been really, really high, starting with the 24-25 school year. So they will base the renewal increase based off of those numbers. Right now, just in 25 school year, August through November, we have 3 employees, and we don't know who they are, who are just between those 3 have utilized 174% already. in utilization rate health insurance benefits. And that's what the insurance is there for us to use it when we are sick. So we have high numbers. Because of those high numbers, Blue Cross Blue Shield is looking at us, it's not really a moneymaker, right? Well, they're losing money with DUSD because of our high utilization rate. This year we had still a 9% frozen rate, so we didn't need to go out for an RFP. We were able to maintain, but we are now at the point of that is now it's a renewal period. So what we're gonna do is go out for an RFP. What does that mean is that we put out an RFP and we hope that health insurance companies will put out a proposal, and then we will have our committee review the proposals, score, and then make a recommendation based on cost, based on plan coverage, based on doctors, on everything that they have to offer, and then make a recommendation to the board based on what we can afford. The consulting firm is just, this is a percentage that is not set in stone, but looking at our utilization rate, we're probably looking anywhere from a 30 to a 40% rate increase with Blue Cross Blue Shield for the 26-27 school year. And so that is one of the other big financial impacts for the district, the coverage, the insurance. And we have to offer it to our employees, and we want to do whatever we can to provide a health insurance plan that is reasonable to our employees, that is reasonable to the district. So with revenue reductions, fixed costs not really decreasing, this budget gap, and then of course the insurance, those are some factors that we really need to consider in moving forward, and what changes can we make internally within our district. One of the discussions I've had with, my team is obviously the impacts are those, and the concerns are the following. So staffing costs, and that can, as I said, 85% of our budget is going out to salaries. So we need to probably make adjustments in staffing, levels, and that's across all levels. We need to look at underutilized facilities. So if we have what we did last year, where we had decline enrollment, we had to decrease some positions by attrition. We have to look at some of our programs and the sustainability. The last thing we want to affect is obviously student programs. And so if some of the programs are not really being utilized because the number of kids are not there, then we've got to look at some of those programs. But we also got to look at, can we continue funding some of the programs? We've been very fortunate these past few years to add middle school sports because they were non-existent, and that costs money. And so I'm not saying that's going to go away, but that's just a program, for example, that is costing us money, and it's very beneficial to our students because that is, the middle school sports have become a program, a feeder program into our high school sports. We've got to look at maybe transportation costs, are we transporting less students and maybe combining routes to save some on those areas. So in terms of what we can do, my plan and my recommendation is to create an internal budget committee made up of different members of the staff, including board members, because this is going to take some really creative planning and thought process and difficult conversations. And I can't do it by myself, and I don't expect Mr. Soto or Mrs. Cox and I to do this alone. So that's number one, coming after the holidays to initiate those conversations and create that budget financial internal committee made up of staff, board members, and for us to look at all areas, all programs, all staffing, looking at the budget, looking at enrollment, and come up with some recommendations that we can, present in a work study session before something really gets approved, if we need to make any drastic changes by board approval. And so I just wanted to open up the conversation and tell you that I'm very well aware and cognizant of the fact that enrollment is driving, the challenges we are gonna be faced with financially. And, you know, years ago, the district was in a difficult position where, we were using the credit line. I wasn't in any of these positions, but, we wanna avoid going there. But decline enrollment is it's reality, and it's the world we're living in right now, and, I'm, part of the budget committee, is to propose some recommendations, but then also, internally is looking at, you know, I've talked to Mrs. Cox, and I said, I wanna reach out to every student that has left our district and is quote-unquote enrolled online. We're gonna be reaching out to those kids, because are you really enrolling online? And what would it take to get you back into the district? Because some of the kids that do go online and that do re-enroll never really go online. And so we're having to then accept them back and meet the deficiencies that they have academically. And then if they struggle, then they stop coming to school. And so that's one of the things we're gonna tackle, our online students, because there's quite a bit, and we don't know if they're really truly going online, so we're gonna be reaching out. So there's different things that we can do, but I did wanna open it up for discussion, Mr. Brain, and see if the board has any.
That is an excellent overview. Mr. Soto, why don't you give us your reaction to what the dynamics of the budget would be based on her synopsis of what's going on?
Well, like Mrs. Samaniego said, we have to really look at all of our expenditures. And again, the least we want to affect is, of course, the programs that benefit the students and the instructional side of things. Like I've said before, last year, we need to adjust. We need to adjust to what we have. We need to adjust. We don't have the luxury of having this additional staff. I'm going to say staff because, like Mrs. Samaniego mentioned, 85% of our budget is salaries and benefits. And again, as you well remember, we're using other different funds to pay for that insurance. And again, my recommendation and our recommendation will be to actually look for something that it's affordable, that's something that we can have in our maintenance and operations budget and not using additional funding for those kinds of expenditures. So it's gonna be challenging, especially when we're looking at when Mrs. Samaniego mentioned about the maintaining the buildings or maintaining or having the staff, like she said, very well said. I mean, having less kids doesn't mean that we don't have now the obligation to transport the few kids we have or to maintain the buildings we have. So we have to be very strategically minded in terms of what are the areas that we're going to be looking at. So again, the goal will probably, the first thing to look at will be the positions that will be vacated at the end of the school year, people that will not come back, and then really look at those positions. So again, to me, is going back to being financial stable with the revenues we have. And of course, the internal committee idea is excellent because we just don't want to look at how to fix the budget problems, but maybe create some revenue projects or programs that we can actually do to generate revenue. So that's, to me, that will be the goal for next school year.
Why don't you take a minute to address the situation that the current budget it is now, the way you're having to subsidize the M&O with other funds, because when the board last year approved monies taken from those other sources.
Correct.
You assured the board that as soon as you found out what the revenues would be, and by the way, they're gonna be very, very minimal this year, again, coming from the state, and the
Correct.
legislature's fighting over it right now. But you told the board that as soon as you could steer clear of using those auxiliary funds, that we would get back into the M&O, but that doesn't appear now with the situation.
Correct.
That we're gonna be able to do that, so that even makes it more dire.
Correct.
That you're still looking at that. I'm gonna let you go into that because it's important that the board understand because the board needs to know that we've got an overlap from the F&O into those other funds we're not supposed to be using.
Correct.
That's not even to mention capital,
Correct.
which we can't touch because of the auditors. So why don't you get into that, please? And then we'll get into discussion with the
Okay,
board.
yeah, like I just mentioned, right now, the board approved to utilize $500,000 from these other funds that we have, different funds which is MIPS or the lease money that we're getting. But again, like I said, there's no more revenues coming in, and again, the situation for next school year is probably gonna be the same, or probably even worse, because the way it seems like those vouchers keep growing and growing, and I don't know if somebody's gonna be able to stop them. But we cannot count on any additional monies coming from the state to help out the districts at all. And again, the goal is to avoid having to use these extra funds to help out the M&O. We want to be solvent. We want to be financially solvent for the next school year. The board approved $500,000 to use from those funds, and it most likely will be using that whole amount. I was hopeful that we were going to get additional funds from the state, but they never came, and they won't come this year. And I'm projecting that there won't be additional monies for next school year either. So that's the reality we have right now. That's the projection. Another thing that we have to do pretty soon is the minimum wage increase that we kind of talk about. It's in the scope of things, it's not a huge impact, but I mean, $60,000, I mean, on the M&O side is gonna affect, in addition to losing enrollment. And that's something that we have to do in January. So,
Okay.
And on that note, MIPS is a fund that does generate money because
Correct.
we bill for Medicaid. So that is a, revolving account that keeps bringing in some money, but yet we don't, our intention is not to use
Shouldn't
it
be
for like salaries. And at one point, DUSD, many years ago, was using it for specific salaries, so we moved away from that because you don't want to count on that money for salaries. So we don't use it for salaries. We had to use it because of the
Insurance.
insurance. And so with the insurance cost, as I said, the RFP, we're hoping to get a good proposal that is reasonable to the district and that still we're able to provide a good health insurance plan. And in the discussions that we had, we may be looking at going with a trust organization such as like ASBATE. So ASBATE has a group of schools that come together and bring that cost down. And so I'm hoping that those proposals that come from a trust will be beneficial to the district instead of going directly with one insurance company.
Well, there's so much to be said. First of all, I appreciate greatly the fact that they're aware and sensitive to the situation because we're in some dire straits right now. The other thing is that the revenues that are being used that they mentioned, that the board is well aware that last year we had to dip into those funds to pay for the insurance, and there are some salaries in that MIPS. You do pay some portion of the salary out of that MIPS. So that School Finance 101, if you have an M&O budget, you operate on what the revenues are that fund it. You don't look for subsidies from other sources to subsidize your M&O budget. Your capital outlay is specifically a completely different category, and we're looking at some very dramatic things here. And the thing that's important is that the board, of course, always appreciate and I mentioned earlier, their awareness and sensitivity, that they bring it to the board. They came to me a couple of weeks ago and expressed the concern. But board members, where we are now is the superintendent talked about some drastic action. And I think that we as a board may be having to looking at some very tough decisions regarding that, based on, of course, their recommendation. Anna said it very well. It's prevalent everywhere. Everybody's closing schools. They're laying off staff. People are having to reapply for their jobs. They're laying off administrators. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But we're there, and we need to address it. So with that, based on what their information was, we can have a study session in the future and let them come back with their specific recommendations or plans on how they want to address it. But in the meantime, I think it's ultimately important that the board express their feelings and their concerns regarding the information that was given us. So with that, I'm going to open it up to for discussion. And Mr. Smith, I'll start with you with your immediate reaction and comments.
Well, obviously, there's going to have to be a lot of hard decisions made in the future. You know, our main purpose is obviously educating children, so I hope as we start looking at places where we need to cut stuff, are we looking at, say, district administration where jobs can be combined and maybe eliminate some of the personnel that we need to there help on it? I also, if I understood right, some of the monies that's gonna come or is helping to cover for the insurance and stuff like that is lease money and something, which from what I understand is going to draw to a close here before much longer.
Yes, we're gonna.
So obviously, we'd have to make some changes there coming up, and, you know, hopefully going with different carriers will help, but might also have to increase what, you know, the percentage of what's being paid, you know, by, or decrease what's being paid by us and
Correct.
taking some out of salaries to, you know, to cover the rest where the employee pays a higher percentage. Hopefully, we can avoid that, but that's a possibility.
If, I'm going to defer now to Ms. Salchow, but if you have any further thoughts, we'll come back, because we're going to make this a thorough conversation so that they have a clear picture of what the board understands and maybe what direction they should go in. Of course, followed up by a study session. Ms. Salchow.
Gosh, how do I put this? Okay, because I really thought about this. In, like, consolidating jobs, you know, taking programs and splitting them off, or would you ever consider kind of like rebuilding in a different way? You know, I read some of the articles about, one of them was recently sent to us about the Mesa School District,
Restructuring.
where they're using some, I mean, out-of-the-box types of ideas to market their school district a little differently to bring people in. And instead of just it always being traditionally, I've been involved with the Douglas school system for 45 years almost. Come January, 45 years. So much of what we've always done has been what we've always done. I mean, with change, I mean, there has been, you know, change gradually over time and certain things, like I said, cut or, you know, restructured. But, I mean, are you thinking out, and I would encourage you to really think outside the box, to look at different things so that we don't short our children, our students, that they get the very best that we can possibly offer them. And I think that we do offer tremendous amount of, you know, educational programs, but I almost said niceties, but that's not big enough. I mean, you know, they get a good education with us, but I think that we need to look at what the parents want as well, because that input is huge too. There's a reason that people are leaving. And I thank you so much for every time that you give the attendance report. And we hear about the number of students who've dropped or left us and where they've been. I would love to have a conversation and say, why? Why? What is it? Was it one thing? Is it, what are you finding somewhere else? Why do you think the grass is greener over there when we can offer you this over here? I mean, so surveying your parents, asking them, I mean, even if it had to do with total schedule changing, days taught, et cetera, like that, that might be something that we could do that would help us financially, but also grow our educational programs. Sorry, get a little talky there.
Okay, if you have some other afterthoughts, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Lindeman.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let me start with, I believe it was mentioned a while back that when I asked for the state funding, I knew their current year, but did we mention that they were now not going to fund absence? Did that ever come through? Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know how you do that if you're sick and they say, you know, we still have COVID, you gotta go home. The other thing I was thinking of is, you know, we have to look at the reorganization of the org chart, and I would like to start with the administration. I don't want to belittle the administration, but the further away from the kids for the cuts, I think the better. You've got to be there with the kids. And like Mrs. Salchow and Mr. Smith said, maybe we have to look at combining some of those positions, eliminating some of those positions. Personally, I've always felt that if you have a teaching certificate, you should be in the classroom. And that's my philosophy. And I've always thought that. You can always go to the low-hanging fruit of the refreezing, the travel. You know, we don't need to do that. But I don't want to see elimination of anything of the students. Now, the students, that's why we're here. And I think if we're going to have a program that they want to go to a game or something, we should be able to provide them with the transportation to get there. And you know, that's, I taught here, for everybody knows, for a long time, and we used to have intramural, I took the cheerleaders to Wilcox and all that stuff, Mrs. Ramos and we did all that stuff. And over the years, it gets trimmed away. But if whatever programs we can have, we have to have them fully funded, and because that's with the students. I think that, you know, the consolidation of the programs, like you're saying, we gotta take a big look at that. In the past, I know that programs come and go, the MOS program, certainly the band program. You know, we used to have those things, and if we're gonna have those, they have to be fully funded. And that means that we're up to the cuts far away and consolidation. I seem to remember we didn't have an assistant superintendent position, you know, just for an example. But again, if you have a teacher certificate, you should be in the classroom. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes, you know, as many years as I've been here, I've been through some bad times and some good times. I mean bad times. And the worst thing that can happen is when you have to start using credit to meet payroll. That's the worst thing that you can go into. When we had our superintendent, let's say, sent home with leave on pay. And then we had the intern come in. He called me into his office and he told me, Mr. Ramos, we're gonna have to shut down the school. My answer to him, I told him, pick one of those telephone posts that's out here or light posts that's out here. I brought him to the window. And I says, pick one because that's where they're gonna hang you and they're gonna hang me next to you. So get that out of your mind right now. He wanted to shut down, most of all, Ray Barain. So imagine I would have been probably hung twice. Anyway, coming back. When we don't have the funding, you look for the reason we're not being able to meet the demands we have. But we were never in the situation that we were losing students. Our enrollment was high. We were just
Spending.
overspending and being new to the game. There were a lot of stuff that went over my head and under my head and through my head. So at this point, they can't do that anymore. So you know that to really think about it, what is causing the loss? It's the loss of students. How can we prevent that? Why are students going to charter schools if we can offer better programs, more things, but why are they leaving and going to their charter schools? Number one, as you mentioned, they come in here, there's not too much vetting on their residency with our charter schools. But why are public schools why are they so strict, the state with us, to vet? So we don't have any help from them, so what we have to do is find how we can attract and keep those kids here. If the majority of our students that we're losing is because they can't enroll because they haven't got a residency here, then we have to find a way. And if we can't find a way, we have to manage with what we have. And I don't mean closing schools, but that's gonna be bringing it more, well, how can I express here? Being more careful as to not just spend money on the way we used to. You know, Caesar, you with all the other people that I work with in finance, you have brought on quite a bit, and you know that, okay, because, I mean, I remember going into, I don't wanna mention names, but I used to go into the business department, and God, the person was nervous, and I was even more nervous, and we haven't got money for this, and we haven't got money, and we didn't, that's not the route. But you, Cesar, you're on the ball, but we gotta figure out how are we gonna stop losing kids and keep the kids here. Why are kids going to homeschool? That's the number one. How many kids do you think do we have that have left before going on homeschooling?
While she looks for that, I will say that recently we met with Mr. Joel Todd, who is the person in charge of our Cochise Technology District. And in that meeting, they gave me some data, and they said within Douglas, that they had at least 88 students showing up as a voucher student from Douglas. And so that could be kids that doesn't necessarily mean that they were DUSD kids, they were just kids from Douglas. That's voucher kids. In addition to, there may be just a handful, or I don't know how many, that their parents are homeschooling them and truly authentically homeschooling them. And what we found is that in at least one case, they were saying they were homeschooled, but when asking for the documentation, then they were a voucher student. And so truly homeschool?
So right now, from the information we have, it's only 9 students.
9.
From July to now, 9 students.
And we lost how many to, what, 19 that just left recently?
This
20
20?
this month. Mhm.
Okay, and the prior, we've been losing how many since the beginning of the school year did we lose approximately?
So we've lost 297 from July to November. We've
That's a
lost.
lot of students. That's a lot of students to lose. And we gotta find out why are they leaving? Why are they going to the charter schools? And I know it's a hard job, but we gotta do something. We gotta do it now. we can't wait until the water is above our heads. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Smith, do you have anything else that you want to add as an afterthought? So they kind of give them some direction, so when they come back.
I do agree that not only do we need to look at making cuts, we also need to look at again, kind of what Mr. Ramos was going on. Why are people deciding to go to some of these other schools, whether it's a charter school or being homeschooled, something? What is driving that dynamic? And what can we do to turn that around? What can we do that we can advertise to try and draw those back? I had one of the things that I'm kind of a believer in. I don't know that it would cost the district that much more if it was, done, depending on how it was set up. But we have a number of CTE classes over there. What about meeting with local contractors, working on seeing if we can't get them to help us with these CTEs, maybe do some internships, give something that would be a draw that the students would like. They'd be able to get experience. They'd be able to make, small amounts of money, because obviously even as an intern, they may get a small, salary out of it, but they could also get credit that would help, help them in the school. And, by doing that, you might be able to draw some of the students away. If on the end where the kids wanting to go to college, what would we need to do to expand some of our dual credit over there? Dual credits can save the families a lot of money. I know when we were doing the dual credit, partnering with Cochise College, I believe it was costing the students like $25 or $35 for a credit. And from experience, I know that my daughter, a credit at a university costs 10 times that. So, market that you're going to be saving these families if the kids are going to school, a lot of money by letting them get into these dual credits if we can expand that. Again, these are all things that we might try and market to bring more kids back into the district. Because, as we said, a lot of the money that we're losing is because our enrollment. People that are moving away from Douglas for jobs, there's not a whole lot we can do, But anybody that is going to other schools, or if we can draw them away from a charter school, whether they started there or whatever, that's to our advantage.
Ms. Salchow?
We have a great CTE program. We do have dual credits, not, as many as we do CTE programs. But we do have that, and I think that is really one of our benefits, definitely. That is a draw. But at our middle schools, what do we really have that's an additional type of program, or our elementaries? And anything that, you mentioned middle school sports, that's very important because, they're basically feeder programs to our high school. Looking at that potential, but even in our elementaries, we used to have a really strong elementary basketball program, and different types of things, even some soccer type of programs at the elementary. We don't have those anymore, not really. Open gym, yeah, but actual competition within the schools. After school programs, and I know that our teachers are just wiped. I know that they are. They are tired at the end of the day. And there's some that, after tutoring, they don't want to stay and do extra things. But there are other people in our community that would, and maybe even possibly volunteer to do some different programs. It wasn't always that our folklorico program were paid positions. They were volunteers. I'm not saying that we need to go back to that, but even at our elementary, building things like that might bring more students in. Parents want for their children. I see it all the time. They want their children to be busy. They want them to have every advantage they possibly can. And sometimes it's the little things that we kind of overlook because we are so focused on academics, that's why we're here. It's what's supposed to drive the district. But it's those other little things that when people see that they have those programs, they might say, wow, that school looks a lot better than what we're getting over here.
You know, excuse me, Ms. Salchow, I know that we were talking about, because it directly affects the budget, attendance, but I think we're getting a little far adrift on
Sorry.
on getting away from that subject, and I want to make sure that we're on point and that we don't have any problems discussing something that should be agendaed later for another meeting. So, if you want to wrap it up,
I will, definitely. Just, like I said, dig deep. Think outside the box. I have total trust that you're working as hard as you possibly can. And I'm sorry that you're having to be in this, and I'm sorry that we're having to look at this.
Thank you. And of course, all of those are variables and factors that have to do with attendance, and we got it out there. So, Mr. Lindeman, any afterthoughts?
Well, yeah, advertising for getting the students is budget related. And I was just thinking that, you know, I don't do TikTok or YouTube, but others do. And our 3 videos, what are they doing? We had this, we have to put out there all of the good things we can offer. Because we do offer a very good education and a very good programs. But where is it? How do we get that out there? When I scroll through Facebook, you know, once in a great
Information.
while, yeah, I see Liberty, I see Omega, I see all that stuff, but not us. So, thank you.
You have any afterthoughts?
Yeah. That was a key thing, again, to say, is losing the enrollment. Is there anybody, professional company or persons out that can come and see why we're losing the students? Or do we have anybody on staff that could look into that? Because we can't just sit down and say, well, we're losing it for this. We gotta find out why exactly, so we can stop it.
Well, to answer that question, Mr. Ramos, I mean, sure, there's companies over
Briefly.
there that do, you know,
We're way off subject.
yeah, analytics and all of that. But we will do, in taking these recommendations, my first task will be to obviously create our committee, our budget committee. And in that creation, I will bring what I heard tonight. And we will be looking at all of these, and I'm, you know, very familiar with Mesa. I have a colleague, part of my AZ Alas governing board, who went through a restructuring phase. So I am in contact with one of the assistant superintendents that went through that whole phase. And we'll be looking at possibilities and then having more discussions from the committee, because I think the committee has to get to work in order to bring something at a work study session. And then moving forward, that committee will be an ongoing facet of our budget planning for 26-27 school year.
Did you want to add anything, Mr. Soto?
No, I'm good.
Thank you for all of that input, and it's more important for the staff to know what your feelings are, and I think they got a pretty good flavor of what they need to be looking at. And I think the message is that it's not hiring freeze and not filling positions and doing those kinds of things. I think they know that we're looking at something, as she mentioned, it's gonna be, I think I'll use her word, drastic, significant. I'm a money guy. You can't run a business, especially a school district, without money, and you've got to be very, very cognizant of your revenues. You always need to know where you are with your expenditures. uh, the thing that concerned me the most and concerns me now because of this whole situation, because of the loss of revenues that everybody alluded to, which was the student decline in enrollment, is the fact that we're using monies from other sources to fund the M&O, and that's very, very bothersome. I've been in a position where I've worked with every school district in the state, and I've seen this happen before. Not like it is now, of course, but I've seen districts that came under receivership by the state board. They couldn't function. They had to replace the board. They replaced the superintendent. And the reason was that when they saw that they were initially having problems, they weren't proactive. And that's why I think it's very important that we note that they are sensitive to it and they are trying to be proactive, and of course it'll ultimately end up with the board. But the thing is, if you let things just keep festering and festering and you don't do anything about it, like Amphitheater did 2 weeks ago, I don't know what in the world they're thinking in Amphitheater, which got all these high-priced administrators, and they let things get so far out of hand that they had to close 3 schools. And to the chagrin of all of the parents that had children in those schools. So I guess what really needs to be said is we don't want to get in that position. And again, you guys are aware. Thanks for bringing it to the board. We will have a study session. I think the board kind of indicated some of the areas that the board wants to look into. Very specifically on a couple of occasions. And so staff, you know what we're gonna do, you'll be meeting with all of your people involved, and we'll leave it at that. And the
Mr.
first,
Ray?
I'm sorry, do you have another comment? Go ahead.
No, I just want to
Absolutely.
mention before we get off, we're blessed to have a board with the experience of Mr. Smith, Jana, Mr. Linderman, and especially Mr. Beret, because when you haven't got a board with that much knowledge and that much experience, let me tell you, I lived through it. That's hard. So we have to stop it now. Final.
Thank you. All right, any thoughts from the administration regarding that, Anna?
No, I think
All
I
right.
have enough to, some of the things that we were considering prior to this, I just will have more feedback now.
Okay, we'll get off of that dismal subject, and we're gonna move to item number 4, executive session. The governing board may vote to convene into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03 subsection A, number 1, for the following personnel matter. A, discussion on the Assistant Superintendent Denise Cox. Entertain a motion to do that.
I move to enter into executive session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes. executive session, and we're back in open session. Item number 5, Ms. Samaniego, information items.
Let me get back to my agenda. We have December 19th is the last day of the quarter and the start of our Christmas break for our school staff. So winter break is December 22nd through Friday, January 2nd. We are closing district offices on Wednesday, December 24th through January 1st. And then our annual organizational board meeting is on January the 6th.
Members of the board, on that organizational meeting, it's strictly a board matter, and we generally have that in the morning, and Alma generally provides refreshments. Is it okay? Can we do that at 10 or 11? Mitch, will that affect you?
I'll have to make arrangements, but I think I can be here.
Okay, but you will be here.
Is that still during break?
It's
No,
the
it'll be that Tuesday.
Tuesday after school starts. No, school
And
starts
what was
on.
the day
Sorry,
again?
school
fifth.
School starts on the 5th, yeah.
The 5th,
Yeah, the-
Monday the 5th. This is
I'll
Tuesday.
have to make arrangements.
You can do it, though?
I hope so.
Okay. If not, you'll be here telephonically.
Okay.
All right. All right, do you have any, and Denise, anything to wrap anything up? Caesar?
No.
Thank you for your presentation,
Thank you.
Anna, especially yours, great. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye.